Good evening on this December 8th, 2020. The time is 11:23 p.m. and welcome to Aisha's Journey Journal Entry. And this is the fifth and final installment of my book, Win for Life. For the fourth installment, I read till the time ran out, and I'm just going to pick right up from that point. A quick overview. It's 2.5 years after Ia met Waldo's mother, Miss Cecilia, and she is now at the Sabolsky prison, allowing Waldo to see Amila in person for the first time. Here I go. "Oh," I replied, "I don't live there anymore." "You don't?" he asked. I laughed. "What's wrong?" I asked him. He stood Amila on his lap and was looking at her. She looked like an exotic wild child from the jungles of Brazil. Her features, I mean. "Does your fiancé know about me?" he asked, a little enviously. I sat back. What doesn't he know about Waldo? He's already met his mother and stepfather and has had repeated nightmares about strangling him in his sleep. "Oh, yeah," I answered. "He knows everything about me and the past, including you, Waldo." "Wow," he responded. "He must be a good dude." He snickered behind Amila's long mane of hair. I was ready. I was ready for him. I was finally ready. "Oh, very good," I answered strongly. He found it odd that I didn't kill myself after our relationship, which is sort of funny. Waldo had shut his mouth and listened. When I told him how many guys I'd been with, including the train ran on me by your drug associates, he cried. I mean, that total was what, 14, 15? Which is a whole lot of people. And you know what? He forgave me so fast, and that night he forgave me over and over and over again. But that's not the problem. What he cannot forgive and get so upset about is why I never called the cops on you or had you arrested. And I really thought I was down for you, like your ride or die or something like that, like I was doing myself a favor. Oh yeah, but I did do myself a favor. I was your little cloud of fire, your ride in the sky, and you didn't have any problems using or abusing me. But now that I'm close to 40, I'm better. I'm going to always be better because we, meaning you and me, are not together. I cannot thank you enough for blessing me with Amila before you beat me down over a car accident that I had nothing to do with. But I thank you in that car accident, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have went to Julio's and bought that ticket to a new life, and I wouldn't have met Mr. and Mrs. Yabayer, and wouldn't have taken countless helicopter rides with Mrs. Cecilia to the Park Avenue penthouse, and taken Amila on stroll after stroll through Central Park. I wouldn't have met the man who loves me so deeply and passionately that I pass out from the orgasms. But hey, that's just how life is sometimes. The girls, crazy, stupid girls like me, you know. "Why didn't you tell me when you won?" Waldo asked, finally getting it off his chest. "What does it matter? You didn't love me or respect me or care about me. Why on God's green earth would I share with you my ticket to a new life? Why? You know, I took the advice from the nurse at the triage at Stanford Hospital, and I got as far away from you as possible. She said I was lucky that you didn't kick me in the stomach. You would have killed Amila. I was almost in tears, but I stopped myself. But Waldo," as I composed myself, "this is your time to spend with Amila, so go ahead," I insisted. "I have sister," Amila told her father. "You do," he answered, smiling at her. "Oh, yes, David and I have a 5-month-old girl named Anayana," I told him. "What?" he answered. He nodded his head and continued to play with Miles. A few minutes later, a correctional officer came to our table and said 2 minutes. We both stood up. I zipped up my coat and put my hat back on. After he let go of Amila, I put her coat back on and her hat. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and I hugged Waldo. When he let go, he whispered he loved me in my ear, and I would have given everything to hear that from him years ago. A small part of me needed to hear it, but it was short-lived. I picked up Miles and we walked toward the door. When it opened, we turned around and we waved goodbye to Waldo, and just like that, he was gone. I got our bags out the locker and headed toward the car. I strapped Miles in, then took off her coat and mine as well. I put on my seatbelt, turned on the GPS, and we were off. We sang songs almost all the way home, mostly Old MacDonald and the Wheels on the Bus, but they were our songs and they made us happy. When we got home, David and Nayana were fast asleep in our bedroom, and just as I suspected, the house was a mess. Amila and I cleaned up while they slept, and then the two of us fell asleep downstairs on the sofa watching Transformers 4. 20 years later. Dear Ia, the biggest problem I had with us is what I have right now. Happiness. I apologize for that. As a man, I apologize because I wasn't man enough to see in you what you saw in me. I know that's old news now, but I had to get it off my chest. I was going through some of my stuff the other day, and I found that picture of you and Amila you sent to me when I was in prison. She couldn't have been no more than 5 months old. I know I've said this to you before, but whoever had the idea to take that picture of the two of you in that pose, both in white dresses, holding her up in the air, looking at each other, smiling, was absolute genius. It still takes my breath away every time I look at it. I know I text her every day, but please hug her for me and tell her I will see her before her 22nd birthday. And if she's still interested in modeling, my friend owns a villa by the ocean with a glorious view of that blue Jamaica water. It'd be a good place to take pictures. It's been more than a year since my mom passed, and I still don't know how to feel about that. I still cry, but my grandma Louise told me that the pain would pass. She told me the same about that gorilla in me over 18 years ago when I was still locked up. She ain't never tell a lie in her whole life. That gorilla was my father's and his father's before him. A gorilla called Jamaica, just calling me home. My mom's estate finally cleared, and I got my check yesterday. Though the zeros made my eyes pop, my heart was still sore, you know. Well, I'm going to go ahead with that idea I was telling Miles about a few months back. My cousin Terrence and I are going to go ahead and open that tourist tour business. I was thinking of calling it Win for Life Tours, you know. What do you think? I know it needs work. I guess we all win our jackpots in life, some sooner than others. But I'm happy, Ia. I really am. Enclosed is the photo of my twin boys, Andrew and Marley. Can you believe they'll be 12 soon? You're really, really a good person, Ia. I'm glad we are still friends. I know it's 2038, but writing letters never seems to go out of style. Kingston, Jamaica forever. A good friend, Federico Waldo Cortez. P.S. Felicia and Terrence say hello. The end. Okay, well, that was it. That's the end of One for Life, front to back, 5 installments. How long did it take me to read that? Let's see, 45 is 90. 45, it's another 90. That's 180 minutes. This is about 3 hours. About 3 hours and 15 minutes, give or take. It could be a lot longer because I was rushing through some of it. It's like when you're writing and all of a sudden your hands switch from neat and then you're just all over the place. And it just looks like you're writing because you're in pain and then, you know. But I would love to hear your responses or comments about what you think. It is a hood story. I invested a lot of my own personal trials and stuff and my own personal truths in that story. And I got a lot of demons out, like especially in that relationship between Ia and Waldo. Like I really concentrated on the issues I had in my own relationships. And I had myself win in a situation. That kind of helps, you know, kind of see what those outcomes would have been if I would have won instead of lost or whatever. Yeah, I mean, let me just take care of this part and I'll come back. All right, peace.